should be selling.
This is a beginning point. This is the beginning of the rest of my life. I got the meaning, and I got to write it down, because I don't want to forget it.
Just win, baby.
Just win, baby. Welcome back to the Gold Jacket Podcast, proudly sponsored by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog has it all. You know this. Daily, weekly, and season-long best ball tournaments. Season-long. Don't really need that at this point, do we? That are literally happening 365 days a year. Plus, you can play their pick and prop games. That's where my dances are. And you get 5 right, you get 20 times your money. You head on over to underdogfantasy.com, use the promo code TNFF. You will get a 100% deposit match up to $100. I'm your host. You don't care. My name is Gymnastic. You can find me on Twitter. Again, you probably don't care about that either. At Gold Jacket QBs. I'm joined, as always, by the guy that you do care about, Connor Donald. Find him on Twitter at Connor10. That's TEN, not the 1 and the 0. Proud members of the True North Fantasy Football Network. Make sure to check out the entire network on Twitter at True North FFB, on YouTube on the TNFF Network, and on the internet, TrueNorthFFB.com. Tonight, we do some shit, same shit that we do all the time. You know it, except this week it's 8 fantasy football wrap up. We look to week 9. Eagles are somehow undefeated. I can't believe it. Connor's excited as shit. Josh Allen may or may not be fucking down, so I'm ecstatic as shit. Connor, what's happening?
I didn't touch that up on the show sheet, but we're reacting to week 9, I think, and looking at week 10. But you know, you hit it. If you looked at the title, you knew what we were doing. But yeah, man, like you said, I'm feeling good about the Philadelphia Eagles, man. I mean, I get it. People are gonna say, "What about the schedule?" But I mean, you can only play what's in front of you. You can only do that stuff. Chiefs are looking good, though. Chiefs are looking good, so you have no reason to not feel good, and they haven't even started to roll out Kadarius Toney, so I think things are only going to get better.
Numbers, they apparently have the 3rd easiest remaining strength of schedule.
There you go. I don't see. I find it so hard to believe strength of schedule this year because, like, it's wild, man. We had the easiest strength of schedule at the beginning of the year. Well, one of the bottom 3 easiest, and then by what was it, like, week when we were 7-0, we had played the 13th hardest. It's like, okay, cool. now we can talk, but that's just how the NFL is crazy. So look at the NFC right now. The only undefeated team in the NFC, the only 1-loss team in the NFC, Eagles and Vikings. Just like the experts said it. Just like they said it.
Both in the East. That's insane because they sucked
in the NFC, not the East. Not the East, the NFC. When the Vikings aren't in the NFC.
Oh,
in the
shit.
North.
I'm thinking Giants. I'm thinking
they
about
got 2 losses now. They lost the second game. It's okay.
That
We're okay
whole
with
goddamn division's insane, though. Like, they sucked. Let's be honest. That division sucked.
We were the NFC least, and now we're the NFC beast. Let's just face it.
Beast. Oh, my God.
Beast. Let's get to the stories that matter. You alluded to it earlier. Josh Allen. The x-rays, I believe, were inconclusive. They're now looking at the UCL, which is a similar injury that seems to be plaguing Matthew Stafford, and that really not so great LA Rams offense. So this could be similar or worse. Who knows? It is, for those of you who follow baseball, the Tommy John injury that usually keeps pitchers out for 12 months minimum. That is usually the ligament that is impacted when they talk about that. What do you believe, Jim, would be the impact on the fantasy weapons based on what we're seeing in the Rams?
Quick question. Did he already have this injury before in his career?
I don't think so.
I thought he did as a rookie.
Might have had an elbow issue, but I don't think he had this specific. Let me see if I can.
I thought he had a UCL injury as a rookie that kept him out for 4 games, maybe 5.
He had an elbow sprain that kept him out for 4 games. How extensive that was towards the UCL, tough to say. But so, it was a sprain.
I don't know, man. I would I'd be a little bit worried. He looked pissed in that fucking press conference. Like pissed that they were asking about the elbow. He just didn't even really seem like he wanted to talk about it. Just said they get through it. I don't know, man. I don't know. Here's what I said to my wife today was if he's done for the season, they're not going to push for OBJ. Like, I think the extent of his injury will be telling on how much they push their chips in for OBJ in this, I guess, sweepstakes, because I was always adamant that he was going to go to the Bills like a little while ago, and I guess San Francisco's now come out of the woodwork as a potential suitor for OBJ if he's fully cleared in a couple of weeks. But
I do want to correct myself, though. I have gone on DraftSharks.com. Their evaluation of the injury from October the 14th of 2018, Allen missed 4 games with a right elbow injury. Specifically, the injury was to his UCL.
So this is a second injury. So he's already missed 4 games.
I don't know if it's the same elbow. Is it the right elbow affecting the injury right now?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a strip sack on the throwing arm. He's not lefty.
Okay. Continue.
So he's already missed 4 games as a prior injury. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I would be very worried that he misses like 4 to 6, but I'm not the expert. I mean, maybe we should call Edwin in on this and ask him, but I'd be highly concerned. It's Case Keenum, the backup, correct?
I do believe you're correct, yes.
So that's not really too disheartening to have Keenum as a backup. He's shown game managerial
showing
skills.
Some flair. We're talking about fantasy. He's showing some flair. He's
shown enough to be able to keep his weapons. But is there going to be now a flurry of weapons now with Gabe Davis going off, Stephon Diggs going off, Dawson Knox going off? I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's going to be heavily funneled to Stephon Diggs offense and maybe a Dawson Knox touchdown once in a while.
I was going to say it's Stephon Diggs or bust at the end of the day. Like you talk about Gabe Davis, I just looked it up, and Gabe Davis. I'm going to call it like it is. Gabe Davis is very similar to Amari Cooper. He's boom or he's bust. Extremely bad. I know before we came on the air, we were talking
Cooper
about Mecole
Tyler
Hardman.
Lockett-ish earlier in his career. Who do you think?
You could comp either or. I would argue
Cooper was always held in that upper echelon somehow, wide receiver 1, and I always was like, but he's
Lockett never held that. Tyler Lockett never held that. Tyler Lockett could be the one, but theoretically, yeah, but at the same point, Gabe Davis is like a big play waiting to happen. Tyler Lockett feasted off of those big target games, got a lot of targets, got 3 tutties off of it. Gabe Davis feeds off of 5 targets, 3 receptions. 2 of those are 40-yard plus touchdowns. Like, Diggs or bust. I've been on the record since the AFC East episode saying Diggs and Allen are bust. Now, obviously, if Allen misses any sort of time, you're screwed. But it's Diggs and Allen are bust in this offense. Nyheim Hines proved it last week. Maybe it was the first week in the offense. Maybe I'll give him a break that he put up a goose. But at the end of the day, I was expecting a little more than a goose from Nyheim Hines. But it just goes to show it's very difficult to trust anyone outside Stephon Diggs, and anybody outside who's not getting, 10, 12, 15 targets a game like Stephon Diggs in that offense, because it is such a volatile offense. Yes, they score a ton of points, but it is volatile to understand who those points are going to on a given week.
Absolutely. What do
Ready
you
to
think
move
about
on
it?
to what do I think about it?
Like, as like a real football Eagles, are you worried now? Like,
I wish I want to get Edwin on. I want to get Edwin's opinion on it because I really do want to know, like, repeat UCL injuries. How often do they happen? What is their impact on a player? I would really be interested to know that. I completely agree with you on that point. It would be intriguing to know how much of an impact it will play. And at what point does the UCL continue? Because you can rest, or it's not as significant with a quarterback as it is a pitcher who's with the velocity that the pitchers throw with.
okay, I don't know.
Although
about
Josh Allen throws a fastball, Josh Allen throws a hard football.
I thought the issue with the Tommy Johns wasn't exactly speed, which they do throw a fastball, but it was the unconventional arm motion where a quarterback throws more overhead
straight
there. But Josh Allen throws a lot of wonky balls, man. You know what I mean? A lot of sidearm balls that he has to. So, like, I don't know. And he shook it. Like, he was shaking his arm out pretty bad. I mean, he did throw like a 60-something fucking yard bomb at the end of the fucking game, but
it's definitely concerning. I just think it's more concerning for those who own the secondary pieces. This is probably an okay thing for Devin Singletary. I would argue, and we have been very vehemently against him, it could be a good thing for Dawson Knox, the guys who work the shorter part of the field, or the target hogs like Stephon Diggs. I think this hurts a guy like Gabe Davis. I think this could hurt a guy like Isaiah McKenzie. I think it could hurt those guys who are really looking to stand out and prove themselves and have a very specific part of that offense. Isaiah McKenzie could be okay, but I think he's going to remain insanely volatile as he has been, but he works a shorter part of the field. I think this affects 100% more Gabe Davis than anybody else, but obviously the one to own, the one who's going to do the most for you is going to be Stephon Diggs.
Real quick, real football. How do you think they do if it affects Josh Allen for 6 games or season ending? Do you think they have enough to hold on to the division with the red hot Miami Dolphins and now suffering 2 division losses to those said Miami Dolphins and New York Jets?
No. While we were against, while we talked against Hill and Waddle, it's working. That offense is working. We talk about a pass-friendly league. We talk about a pass-happy league. Case Keenum has brought some magical moments. We know the Minnesota Miracle that happened. Like, we've seen the moments that Case Keenum can present. He's got a solid offense in front of him. Stephon Diggs, the guy who he had the miracle with, is in Buffalo. It could be like a Buffalo miracle. But at the end of the day, I think, like, ultimately, like, the Bills are getting banged up, man. They got a lot of injuries. They got some problems. If they continue to have injuries or they're missing their top quarterback, who's been one of the biggest reasons why they continue to remain in games continuously, no. I would say that's definitely a worry. I don't think they can go pound for pound with KC. They can't go pound for pound. I would be shocked if they could go pound for pound with Miami. When you ask, can you put up 40 points or can you put up 40 points? I think Tua can put up 40. He's proven he can put up 40. Case Keenum, can he put up 40 with this offense? We don't know what he looks like in this offense. So if we're talking real life, I would have very large concerns, and it stems far deeper than the Josh Allen injury. There's a lot of injuries there.
2 division losses. I think there's blood in the water. Those sharks are fucking circling. All right, but let's go.
I hate to talk about this one because it's ugly as sin. But can we please get Sam Darnold back on the Carolina Panthers? I never thought I would be asking for this. PJ Walker struggled. He got bowled for Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield came in an absolute blowout situation, and he put up like 14 points or whatever, 17 points. He didn't even do a whole lot for them. It's crazy. but I think it's Sam Darnold time in Carolina. Like, this hurts. Good thing is Terrace Marshall has kind of peaked out as a surprise fantasy piece. What are your thoughts in Carolina? I mean, I think they need new quarterback. They need new coach. They need to restart next year, but we need to kind of evaluate the perspective of these fantasy assets in the moment. What are you doing with some of these fantasy assets?
I am on teams that I'm contending. I'm probably trying to package DJ Moore. On teams I'm rebuilding, I want to hold on to him, but he is the only piece I'm really interested in. We've seen a little bit of a show from Foreman and what's his name? He just scored his first touchdown. Blackshear, right? Was it Blackshear that scored his first touchdown? Rashid?
I think is Blackshear in Carolina? Yes, I think you might be right.
I don't want any of them for fantasy. I kind of want to see what they can do, but it's only DJ Moore, and I don't even really feel comfortable starting him now. I don't know what the fuck.
I have a question. What about Donta Foreman? Would you be prepared to move on from Donta Foreman for the right price?
Yeah, absolutely.
And what would your price be?
Okay, but what would you offer? Let me ask that. Let's say I have Donta Foreman. What are you offering?
Listen, I was a guy who wouldn't touch Rashad Penny with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah,
so
let
me tell you, like, yeah.
Listen,
I think if I'm a contending team at the max, he has proven in a complete garbage situation, he can kind of be leaned on. I would probably offer a second. That's as far as I'd go.
I would
far.
And
Absolutely. That would be like negotiations are breaking down. Your running back situation may need or flex position may need Donta Foreman. A second would be the deepest I would go.
Oh no, second is what I am taking. That better be no, that's like the.
What about Terrace Marshall? We've talked about Terrace Marshall before.
Hate him as a fantasy asset.
So would you, if somebody is willing to pay, call it a third, would you be prepared to move on Marshall?
My team? Yes, because I'm not even drafting him. Where'd you draft him? Here's my question. Where'd you draft him in rookie drafts? Where'd you get Donta Foreman? Guaranteed waiver wire. You fucking drafted him a few years ago. You dropped him. You picked him up on the waiver wire on a hunch because you heard Christian McCaffrey might get traded, and you were right. So free. He was fucking free. You're going to give me a second-round pick next year for that? Yeah, I'm taking it. I'm absolutely taking it. I have no idea why I wouldn't take it. Terrace Marshall, again, he went fucking real high for some reason in rookie drafts, like higher than my liking. That's for goddamn sure. I feel like it was like back end of the first, early second. So I feel like there's a lot of sunken cost fallacy with Terrace Marshall holders, and I'm not one of them. So for me, I'd be selling at whatever price I end up getting, but I don't have them, but I'm not buying them either. You know what I mean? I'm not going to buy them. But I guess if I'm a contender, the best I'd take is a second, like all pieces. Kind of like what you said for Foreman, kind of goes for me for Marshall. I'd have to.
I agree with you on DJ Moore. If there is any asset I want in here, it's DJ Moore, like Chuba Hubbard, whatever. Like Chuba Hubbard at this point, to me, he's banged up. But at this point, this is a backfield that 100% screams we are going to flip this backfield over. We have no real true investment in any of these guys. We're going to make the move when the time is right. We're going to get the right pieces in place. Then we'll look at the running back position. We've seen it with some other teams before. There's no value in Donta Foreman. There's no look at James Robinson in Jacksonville. These situations come up all the time. If there is a limited value in these guys or there's limited investment in these guys, they will move move on from them in a heartbeat. And too many people sit there and think, oh, well, James Robinson is better than Travis Etienne. Though, don't worry about the investment that the Jags made. It wasn't this coaching staff. I bet you're regretting the comment that you made now, because Travis Etienne is sitting there as the sole owner of that backfield right now. He is 100% owning that backfield. And that's because it still matters what the investment, what recent investment, say 4th year, new coaching regime. Do you pick up the 5th-year option on this running back that you drafted 4 years ago? Then we're talking about something completely different. But clearly Travis Etienne proved his point. So if there's a limited, investment in the backfield, they're going to change. And I don't think Chuba, there was enough investment there. I don't think there's enough investment in Foreman. I think if you have an opportunity to get out from either of them, you 100% get out from them. The only one that interests me is DJ Moore. I think we talk too much about he's a quarterback away. This guy is a quarterback away. This guy is similar to the Allen Robinson situation, except I would argue worse. I think he's worse off than the Allen Robinson situation was.
I don't know about that. Up until this year, I wouldn't say that.
You think what washed Cam Newton, Teddy Two Gloves, Sam Darnold, all these second chance bridge quarterbacks have been positive for DJ Moore?
Better than Christian Hackenberg is your absolute best quarterback? Yes. Yes. And at Penn State, Christian Hackenberg at that? Yes. Up until he ended up having Matt Stafford, and that's not his fault that he sucks now.
It's his damn elbow. Take some time off.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I do. I do think he's fucking had just as worse as quarterbacks as fucking Allen Robinson.
But we can agree on one thing. Get yourself some DJ Moore. If you have an opportunity to get DJ Moore, he's probably the only asset there that you would want. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely. And that was even when
Christian
McCaffrey was in there. I was still the only asset I really wanted. But anyway, let's keep it going.
Keep it going. Romeo Doubs, high ankle sprain. He obviously 4 to 6 weeks, typical timeline. Obviously for positions that require like a burst, like a running back, or for people pushing big bodies around, like, defensive linemen, offensive linemen, and then the wide receivers who also need to burst off that ankle. This is an injury that likely will take you the 4 weeks. Unless you're Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley was a freak of nature. There are some freak instances. Also, Aaron Jones hurt his ankle. Seems likely to play. It seems like they're leaning that way. Things just keep getting worse for Aaron Rodgers in this offense. I mean, Romeo Doubs is out. Christian Watson's dropped a lot of balls. Do you really trust the guy? Alan Lazard's been meh. He's Alan Lazard. Robert Tonyan's been okay, but Robert Tonyan didn't get it last week. It was Josiah DeGuara that got the looks last week. I mean,
Romeo Doubs or Romeo Doubt at this point? Oh.
At this point, I'm almost convinced Aaron Rodgers is retiring at the end of this year. I really think he's going to lean that year.
Fucking lose one more, he's done. Bring it on in, Jordan Love.
I mean, I'm okay with being the manager with Tonyan. I'm okay with having Aaron Jones. I'm skeptical with A.J. Dillon, but I'm still not. Lazard, okay, but like the rookie wide receivers just aren't there. They're just not the ones that to really think about. Like, this is just a bad offense. This is just all around a bad offense. Is there a piece of it outside? I know you love Aaron Jones. Is there a piece outside of this? Like, outside of Aaron Jones, is there a piece you want? And is there a piece you're willing to move now?
I wouldn't mind taking a look at that Samori Torre guy who had his first career. I don't know how to fucking say his name. I'm sorry. Had his first career touchdown in Buffalo. He's a rookie. Right now, this is going to sound pretty shitty, but I'd be looking to cheaply acquire people that I think had a lot of reps, aka chemistry, with Jordan Love on the practice field. Because if we truly believe that Aaron Rodgers is absolutely done and they use Jordan Love at any given time, I want those immediate benefactor pieces. So they boom, and then I zoom. I send them away for whatever picks because it's cheap as fuck. I know it sounds really shitty, but I mean, if you have the space on your roster, like there's a few teams where like I'm 1-8 or 2-7, and I got like 4 roster spots on my bench just empty because there hasn't been anybody really worth picking up, and I'm not really in the position to go spend some money on a guy like Isaiah Likely who's going to only pop for a couple games maybe. So these are the spots where I'll look for like this type of thing where I could maybe throw out and look for any cheap guy on the depth chart, like the 4th, 5th wide receiver on that depth chart, and just stash them on there. Guys that I maybe have some I don't know, chemistry with Jordan Love. But like Green Bay, fuck man, like invest in a wide receiver in the fucking first round, or like I don't know, maybe like throw some chips in
trade
fucking,
for one.
Like man, but like don't offer like 3/5 and a 1/6. Like nobody wants your fucking nickels for $1, bro. Like,
I do think Gunther Kunster, however you want to pronounce his name, is one of the worst executives in the league. And there's some pretty bad executives, but this guy has just vehemently not bothered to address anything to support Aaron Rodgers. You lost one of the best wide receivers in the NFL in Devontae Adams, and a very key piece, and you replace him with Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson and say, I think we're good. It didn't work.
It's all good, baby.
I would agree. If there's somebody dirt cheap that you can get, I would agree with you. We're talking fantasy here. If you get the opportunity, do it. Go cheap, see what happens. We all know that you probably have an open roster spot, or we all know there's someone droppable that you could just throw in this piece and see what happens. So finally, this is kind of a jab because of the Philadelphia Eagles and AJ Brown, but there was no wide receiver who had a reception for the Tennessee Titans this weekend. Malik Willis struggled immensely.
Did he?
I
didn't see that. Did he?
Back-to-back weeks as the worst QBR in the NFL. I think there's only one other quarterback who did it. I can't remember at this point now. I think it might have been Jared Goff or something. I remember somebody posting it. Only 2 quarterbacks have had the worst QBR.
Did he win that game?
Just saying, for those of you who felt anything positive about this quarterback class, the Kenny Pickett experiment has been ugly. The Malik Willis experiment has been worse. I think it's safe to say maybe sometimes take into account what, the people saying who know what they're talking about. Just listen to them. The scouts, the guys who say this isn't a good quarterback class, there's not really a surprise these guys are going to drop. Maybe listen to them periodically, because they may or may not know a thing or two about scouting college football players and their fit in the NFL. That's all I have to say on this. I think I have Malik Willis in one league. He dropped to the 3rd round. I was like, holy crap, I've seen him going in the 1st and 2nd round everywhere else. I should probably get one share of him. So that was the one share I grabbed of him. But otherwise, this Titans team is a mess. But besides Derrick Henry, they need Treylon Burks bad more than anything else in this world. Westbrook-Ikhine is terrible. Robert Woods is not that good. The quarterback situation is dire. How they sit above 500, I'm shocked. But that's all I gotta say here. What about you, Jim?
No, man. I didn't see the game. I don't know how it happened. No, I watched the game. I saw a guy that early on adapted to pressure very well. Oh, let's just hit this. Let's hit this up here. You don't want to hear me. Hold on a second. Let's put this up here. Oh, I hit it.
Thielen versus Buffalo, London versus Panthers, or Khalil Herbert against the Lions.
I'm interested to hear your answer on this, Connor.
I don't mind Herbert against the Lions. I gotta understand here. Are we starting 2 of 3, 1 of 3? I just want to make sure I'm clear on this, but I don't mind Khalil Herbert against the Lions. The Lions' run defense is really bad. There seems to be a bit of a split brewing between Khalil Herbert and David Montgomery, and Khalil Herbert actually seems like the safer option. You start one. Okay, so we start one of these guys. So I actually am going to talk later in the episode about the Buffalo Bills. They're actually TJ Hawkinson is may or may not be in this discussion. The Buffalo Bills are really good against tight ends. They're good against quarterbacks. They're good against wide receivers. It's really difficult to gauge where to go there. Marcus Mariota missed a wide open Kyle Pitts. He missed Drake London on the very next play. It's super hard to trust Marcus Mariota as a quarterback. But the Panthers are bad, but their actual passing defense is fairly good. I feel like we got to go Khalil Herbert here. I think I'm going to lean Khalil Herbert because the Lions rush defense is really bad. What do you think, Jim? I kind of talked it out, what I was thinking in my head. But, I mean, it feels like a Justin Jefferson game in that Buffalo game. Like, I feel Justin Jefferson like one of those 8 to 10 receptions, 150 to 200 yards, a touchdown or two. Like, that just feels like it. Feels like you got to target the one you know best. Thielen could have an okay game. It's between Thielen and Herbert for me.
Okay, so I'm going Drake London, to be honest with you. Like, I keep looking at some numbers and going back and forth on it. I know Mariota missed him on the wide open play. But the fact remains that the Chargers aren't really a good team to be gauging against for the wide receiver. He has a nice, what I think is a good matchup against Carolina. And he gets targets, man. Josh Allen plays. Does that alter your answer? No, not for me. And I don't think he does. By the way, I think Buffalo drops another game.
I don't think the Josh Allen playing does
Case
not.
Keenum against Minnesota. Boom with Stephon Diggs. It sounds like a revenge game where these guys just kick the shit and then get the shit. I mean, try to kick the shit out of them. But I'm calling a fucking Buffalo Bills loss. But the point is, like,
oh no, I'm looking at
Drake
the Carolina.
London's getting fucking targets though, man. Like
he is.
Targets.
But I'm looking, and it's like 2 wide receivers have scored over 20 points against Carolina Panthers. 1, 2, 3 have scored over 15 points. But I mean, we're talking like the guys who've scored over 15 points. We're looking at Chris Olave. We're looking at Marquise Brown. We're looking at Allen Robinson, Mike Evans. The only one. Okay, so they've actually already played Atlanta. Damiere Baird was the leading wide receiver in that game. Drake London was held to 7.1 on 5 targets. Like, I'm just not there. Damiere Baird was your leader. And this was recently. This was 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago that this happened.
I mean, he had 5 targets, 4 catches. I mean, it's not like he wasn't fucking targeted.
No, but they don't give up a lot. Okay, they rank they're 9th worst against fantasy wide receivers, but they only have given up 5 touchdowns. They actually rank very well when giving up touchdowns. And you essentially, based on what I'm seeing here, you need a touchdown. But the Falcons are not scoring a ton of touchdowns through the air.
But still, okay, so you'd still rather have Thielen over London, though?
No, see, I think I'd put London there because I think there's more volume opportunity.
The target share is there.
It's Herbert, it's London, it's Thielen.
And I think Herbert versus the Lions is fucking shaky as shit, man. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that's a shaky as shit game. And you're not sharing the backfield with just Monty. You're sharing the backfield with a quarterback who just fucking ran for like 123 yards, man. Like, get the fuck out of here. Are you serious? Like, you're running up with a fucking quarterback that's got the fucking Jimmy leg now, man. It's unbelievable. He's going to be poaching shit all the time. At least Drake London, he's the guy, essentially. I mean, yeah, your quarterback sucks at fucking completion percentage and accuracy and kind of fucking poaches some shit on the ground. And now Cordell Patterson's back. But still, man, like, I don't know. The volume's there for London.
Khalil Herbert was the RB 18 and RB 15 in week 7 and 8. In week 9 against Miami, the most recent week, he was 51 because they were forced to go to the air a whole bunch because Miami was putting up points. Detroit's not going to do the same. I just don't think Detroit's going to do the same thing. Like, this is a guy who's been a top 30 running back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. 6 times this guy's been a top 30 running back, and he has seen over 50% of snaps 2 times this season. 2 times, and in the 2 times that he saw over 50%, he was a RB1 once, and in the other game where he saw over 50% of snaps, he was an RB26. He just
hold on, man.
He just feels safer. He just feels like Herbert feels safer than London against the Panthers because we already have a recent situation where Demir Baird outplayed Drake London against this exact same team.
Man, you're buoying up against like some pretty big numbers for Khalil Herbert in like weeks 3, 7, and 8. Like, I mean, yeah, they're against some pretty good fucking rush defenses there, but come on,
New
man.
England, the number 1, Dallas, like what are they, number 7 or 8? And now you're going up against
some pretty good
hold
ones.
The phone. Let me pull this up. Now you're going up against the 8th worst team against running backs.
Okay, man, but like, I don't know.
Oh, FYI, Patriots are number 1, Cowboys are number 4 against the rush, and this guy was put up 15 against each of them. I'm holding with Khalil Herbert. Go for your volume with Drake London, but I'm going Khalil Herbert.
I don't know. He had a stinker against Green Bay, and that's like seems pretty relevant to me. I don't know, man. Me, I'm going Drake London. I mean, you can put me on record for that. Connor's going Khalil Herbert. Yes, put him on record for that. You want to hear what he has to say for the fool's gold and an actual gold though, because this man's hitting fucking babies out the park. Yeah, man. Yeah.
How about we quickly pivot to so Jim is on the side of London. I'm on the side of Khalil Herbert. Pick your poison.
Take a little mental note or a physical note. I don't know of that, and we're gonna come back on that and see who's fucking was right on that, man. We'll have a little.
Oh no! All right, Jim, we'll run through the buy and sell really quickly. I don't really have a great buy. Do you have a buy that you would like to address very quickly?
Are you buying Foster Moreau with the potential? I don't know.
This is concerning with Darren Waller. He's on the wrong side of 30. I get it. He's got a fresh new contract. I get it. When he's in the lineup, he's going to be super healthy. But there's a part of me that feels like you got to have him as a safety net. He's a better tight end 2 for you than a majority of probably tight end 1s you're holding and preying on.
Because here's my thing with it, man. Like Foster Moreau, you don't got to do shit to really be a fantasy relevant tight end. Just give me double digit numbers. And like,
I want to point it out. What Isaiah likely had 1 reception for 20 yards and it was a touchdown and it made him a tight end 1. Yep. That's it. That's all you need.
I mean, he had 5 or 6 targets. He only had the 1 reception.
But targets don't count for fantasy.
But they are opportunity. I mean, what the
opportunities. Okay.
So speaking of the opportunity with Foster Moreau, with Darren Waller being out, now again, you don't have to be superstar to be a fucking tight end 1. You just really got to give me some sexy numbers, which is like 9 to 12 is like pretty much the range where you're looking to be a viable tight end in here. And like 8.5, 10.4. And then the last 3 weeks, 8.3, 13.6, 5.4, Now, Jacksonville's a little hard against the fucking tight ends, but he's seeing volume. He's seeing a good snap percentage with Waller out 96, 97, 100% of the fucking snaps. So he's seeing the snap rate. He's seeing hog rate too when he's on the fuck field. Just doesn't get the fucking tutties, right? And I mean, I get it with Devontae Adams and they're getting you fucking near 40 goddamn points, getting you a fortnight worth of points, 4 score worth of points. But again, you don't need it with the fucking tight end position, right? Like he can be your tight end 8 on any given week, and he's relatively cheap, especially in a tight end premium. Like again, like he's seeing what 9 targets, 5 targets, 5 targets. Like since the bye week when fucking Waller's out, he's seeing 5 targets a fucking game. 1 point PPR, that's fucking 5 points. Add in the fucking yardage, maybe 60 fucking yards.
And he's running routes like he's.
You're getting 11 fucking points right there. I just got you 11 points if he catches those fucking balls.
Yeah, 3 weeks ago he ran a route on 64% of snaps, then 95, then 86. Like at this point, if Waller's out, he's running, and at this point we can only be skepticized about what the injury is and question what is this injury with Darren Waller. How long is he going to be out? How banged up is he? But, I mean, while he hasn't had a tight end 1 performance, like you said, he gives you a better floor than a lot of tight ends are going to give you at this point.
He's not sexy. He's like, listen, if he gets you 1 touchdown in any one of those weeks, he's a fucking tight end 1. But he's getting the fucking snap counts, he's running the routes, and he's getting the targets. I mean, again, you have probably a wide receiver 1, a top fucking 5 in Devontae Adams right now. So you never expected it to fucking be, the Travis Kelce style volume, even when it was Waller. You don't pay a guy, like we said with Tyreek Hill, $5 million a year to come in there and catch 50 fucking balls a year. You don't do it. You pepper the guy and you get your fucking bottom dollar's worth. So
Agreed.
I mean, I'd rather be buying this is my thing. I'd rather be buying a guy like Foster Moreau, who's 1 touchdown away from giving you fantastic numbers, but a solid fucking floor option for relatively cheap than the inflated price on an Isaiah Likely, who both have the fucking tight end 1s out. Where Isaiah Likely, that was 1 catch, 24 yards and a touchdown. That's not great. That's fucking like 3-4 points more than fucking Foster Moreau gave you on no touchdown.
But he was what, like tight end 10, tight end 9 with that? That was it.
But he's only 3 points more than fucking Moreau on 1 catch. So
if you're in desperate times, if you're out Mark Andrews, if you're out Waller, like, and you're in dire straits, Foster Moreau's a good option. Definitely. 100%. My buy would be actually Wan'Dale Robinson.
Love it.
People probably forget, like, on 22% snaps, he pumped out 12.7 fantasy points in week 6. Week 7, he saw 11, and he saw 11 fantasy points. He had 8 targets, 6 receptions. Well, yes, Seattle wasn't a great one. Surprisingly, Seattle's actually been really good against wide receivers, so it's not actually surprising that Wan'Dale didn't have a great game. But there's reason to believe, and he had high draft capital, this is a guy who's going to stick around, and this is a guy who's going to get some opportunity. So I got Wan'Dale there. Player to sell. Sorry, Jim. I got Mecole Hardman, but it almost exclusively has to do with Kadarius Toney. Mecole Hardman has an absurd 20% touchdown rate. The last time he had a rate like this was his rookie season, which is the reason we got all excited for Mecole Hardman. His average depth of target ranks 67th among wide receivers. This is an area we know Toney likes to eat in as well. Working from the backfield, working on the yak, working in the short yardage situations. His target rate are both 74th or worse among wide receivers, and his snap share ranks 91st. Only 2 games has he seen over 70% snap share, and these all happened before Kadarius Toney was even in the picture. 51% of his fantasy points have come in the last 2 games. I found that out tonight. 51% of his 2022 fantasy points.
Well, he had 3 tutties and a fucking like century mark fucking receiving. You know what I mean?
Just saying. 51% in 2 games. That's it.
It's not a bad call, Connor. Ever since Juju came in, we were touting. Well, first before even Juju came in, I was touting that this is going to be the tight end one's offense again. And then everybody else is just going to be an ancillary piece. The only difference is you're not going to have to worry about is it going to be a Tyreek Hill or a Travis Kelce week. It's going to be a fucking Travis Kelce week. And then who's going to get the ancillary pieces? And thank God Juju's actually stepped up. He's been a fucking beast. Swear to God, consistent target share, steps up, does what he has to, fights for extra yards. But I had Mecole Hardman on the block realistically week 3, but every league after the 3 touchdown game, just because of the hype. You know what I mean? And trying to sell, because I was really glad Tony didn't do shit from a fantasy aspect last week, just because I'm still trying to sell Mecole in a couple spots. I'll be honest, I had Tony in a couple spots in a few leagues, but like just the fact that it gives me one more week, because like you said, he isn't really running a lot of fantasy relevant shit. You know what I mean? Like he's not the Tyreek Hill. He's not running 97% of fucking snaps.
His target share, his target rate, even his snap share. Your snap share is 91st among wide receivers. Like that's bad. That's really bad. And then your team goes out and invests draft capital in Kadarius Toney. There's no coincidence there. If you have the opportunity to get rid of Mecole Hardman, you get rid of Mecole Hardman right now.
He's very gadgety.
But so is Kadarius Toney at the end of the day.
I know.
The only thing is, Mecole Hardman's going to return punts for you. Kadarius Toney isn't. Kadarius Toney's more likely going to be a piece of your offense.
Sky Moore can't.
What about you? Do you got any player to sell, or are we moving right on?
I would say it's 46 minutes.
All right. Gold Fool's Gold.
Yeah, I want to see.
I had a pretty good week last week. Listen, did Trevor Lawrence end up the QB 11 and Tom Brady the QB 13? Hey, listen, I told you I'd give you a top 12 quarterback, and I told you someone who wouldn't finish there. I'm doing my best here. But let's get it started. Gold. Russell Wilson. This is ugly. This is ugly as sin. He's up against the Tennessee Titans. Only 2 quarterbacks have not managed to put up 19 points against the Titans. Their names: Davis Mills losing his job at the end of the season. Matt Ryan already lost his job. 4 quarterbacks have managed 19 plus, and 2 QBs have managed 30 plus. I believe those 2 quarterbacks were Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. So you're unlikely to get that output, but you're likely to get 20 plus from Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson has only been a top 20 quarterback 3 times in 7 games. He has been very volatile, but ranking top 3 in deep ball attempts and air yards. This may just be the date he needs with the 3rd worst team against fantasy quarterbacks to give you that extra boost and give you a reason to start him. Fool's Gold, I always got to pick a tough one. Dak Prescott against Green Bay, while Rodgers in the offense sucks. The Packers defense against quarterbacks, wide receivers, and tight ends has actually been very good. I think they rank in the top 12 or in at least the top half of the league against those fantasy positions. They've only allowed 15 points per game to the quarterback position. 2 quarterbacks have managed 20 plus points. None of them have achieved 25, and only 4 total quarterbacks have gone over 18 points per game through 9 weeks. Color me a little skeptical with Dak Prescott, but I know it would be very difficult not to play him. Anything you want to add on the quarterback front?
No, I mean, I don't agree with you on Russ. I think
Russ it was so tough. But when I'm sitting there and I'm looking,
I think Russ is going to be the 3rd quarterback to not score 19 points. But
I know, but I gotta give a gold that isn't like Patrick Mahomes.
I mean, Geno Smith.
I feel like I can't give Geno Smith. I gave him once, and I feel like at this point, like he's putting up QB1 numbers week in and week out. I feel like it would be cheating. I can't really put Geno Smith up there, but
yeah, like I said, I don't agree with Russ. I'll be shocked if he's a top 12 QB, but I mean, bye weeks happen, so maybe.
Running back though, I got you. Jamal Williams, gold for me against the Chicago Bears. Williams, get this. Jamal Williams is the RB15 this season in PPR. He has seen, and this is almost exclusively on the ground. We're talking like a guy who's seen 15 targets this season. He has seen 10 plus touches in every single game, multiple touchdowns in 4 of 8 games. Plus, he's a top 24 RB in 5 of 8 weeks, only scoring less than 7 points one time. So he's giving you a fairly safe floor. He's giving you a pretty good flex option, even with those 7 points. Chicago is sixth worst against fantasy running backs. They've allowed 16 plus points to running backs in 7 of 9 games and tied for third with 10 touchdowns allowed on the ground. This feels like it could be another multi-tutty game for our boy Jamal Williams. Just saying. Fool's gold, I got the duo in Miami, Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert, the love child of Mike McDaniel, up against the Cleveland Browns. Outside of 3 weeks, it was 3 straight, 5, 6, and 7. They allowed running backs to go over 18 points. That is the Cleveland Browns. All other weeks, the team's RB1 failed to eclipse 16 points. This includes names like Christian McCaffrey, Breece Hall, Najee Harris, and your hero, Joe Mixon. Wilson and Mostert, after 1 week, split the touches almost 50-50. Snaps, touches, and all. Mostert had 9 carries. Wilson, 9 carries, 3 targets. They each got a touchdown. Touchdowns will be needed to get them to top 24 showings again, but 7 of 12 touchdowns allowed by the Cleveland Browns came in that same bad 3-week stretch of week 5, 6, and 7. And in only 1 game did 2 RBs manage to each get a touchdown. I'm avoiding Wilson and Mostert because I need a little more. I need to see a little more out of that backfield and see where they really lean. But if it's a true 50-50 split in that high-octane passing offense, I'm avoiding. Jim, anything you want to add beyond you love Jamal Williams as a gold?
You know what? I feel like Jamal Williams was this year's gold jacket, my guy. Like, if we had like a gold jacket induction at the end of the year, he would have been like the guy.
He could be like, I don't know. We could come up with we do our awards at the end of the year. There could be an award where Jamal Williams fits.
Fuck. I love that guy, man. Like, and you know what I love about him? Teams like him. He is a well-liked locker room guy. People don't really give a shit about that in fantasy. I do. Because
and whatever at the end of the day, he gets 10 plus touches every single game with DeAndre Swift there. DeAndre Swift is there. Yes, I get it. He's missed a few games, but
I'm telling you,
he
most
produces.
Valuable handcuff running back in the fucking league because he makes points with studs in front of him his entire fucking career. Aaron Jones, DeAndre Swift. If you go back to any goddamn fucking video, you'll hear me talk somebody about fucking Jamal Williams for 15 minutes. Just look at fast forward and I go like this, and then fucking
put
stop
it at 1.52% two speed and just. But we'll cut it off at 15 seconds. Move to the wide receivers.
Yeah, I do like Christian McCaffrey this week. If it's he's playing the Chargers, right?
Oh, he's got a juicy matchup. Studs.
That's low fruit me, there, right?
It is low hanging fruit, but I've looked at the studs. If you have one of those stud running backs, there's a bunch of them in juicy matchup. I think Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, like hate that I can't pick them, but yeah. Gold wide receiver, I got DJ Moore and Terrace Marshall up against Atlanta. Atlanta has allowed a league lead in 146 receptions, league lead in 1,905 yards, and I would point out that's by over almost 100 yards that they lead that category by. Second in the NFL in with 12 touchdowns to the wide receiver position only. DJ Moore had his big coming out game 2 weeks ago, pumping out 27 points against them, and Marshall put up 12.7 against them. While the QB or quarterbacks, if you would like to refer to it, suck, volume is on both receiver sides. Marshall has managed 6+ targets and 12+ fantasy points in back-to-back weeks, and DJ Moore has seen 6+ targets in every single week this year. Fool's gold, Chris Godwin against Seattle. I can't quite figure out who to pick between Godwin and Evans, but the fact that the two out of the 3 20+ point wide receivers against Seattle were Mike Williams and Jerry Jeudy, I'm going to go with Mike Evans as a guy who might be able to produce well in this matchup. I'll stray away from the smaller wide receiver in Godwin. Seattle has only allowed 3+ 20-point wide receivers, while on 4 occasions, 2 wide receivers have managed 10+ fantasy points. Only once has a wide receiver 2 managed to get over 12. Seattle is bottom 10 against running backs. Tampa Bay loves to run that football, and they are bottom 5 against, and I'm going to pivot right into the tight end position. They are bottom 5 against the tight end position, which is my gold for this week. Jim, I know you're going to love this. Cade Otton. Seattle is one of 2 teams allowing 19+ points against the tight end position, second most in the NFL, only behind the Arizona Cardinals. 7 of 9 tight ends have managed 10 or more against them, which is an easy, as you alluded to, Jim, an easy tight end 1 week. 5 of those are 12+ points, which is almost an easy like top 8, top 6 tight end week. Over the last 5 weeks, Otton has seen 5+ targets 4 of those 5 weeks. Of those 26 total targets in those 5 weeks, because 5 weeks is about the extent he's been very relevant, 8 of those have come in the red zone. 6th among tight ends all season, and he has seen all of those red zone targets in 5 weeks. Otton has put up 10+ in 3 of the last 5 weeks, top 12 in each week. While he only has 1 touchdown, he has seen premium targets and volume, plus a truly golden matchup against Seattle. Fool's gold, TJ Hawkinson against the Buffalo Bills. Only 2 teams have yet to allow a touchdown to the tight end position. The Bills are one of those. Travis Kelce is the only tight end to manage to get 10 points against the Buffalo Bills. You kind of alluded to him earlier, Jim. The Bills rank in the top half of the league against all fantasy positions. That's why I'm a little skeptical about Adam Thielen. I'm skeptical on TJ Hawkinson. I'm skeptical on the running backs. Hawkinson had a great debut going 9 for 16, landing as a tight end 5 last week. It may be tough to sit him based on this, but the Vikings may have a tough game against the Bills. Jim, anything you want to add on the wide receiver tight end front?
Oh, man. Loving Cade Otton. The fact of the matter is very much the reason why I liked Pat Freiermuth when he was a rookie was he was looked to on crucial situations in 3rd down by a veteran quarterback that whether or not he was fading knew the fucking game, which is Ben Roethlisberger. And what's happening with Cade Otton right now? More and more, he's gaining the trust of a veteran quarterback who may or may not be losing his touch in the game and being looked to in crucial situations on 3rd down and, more importantly, 4th down drives that actually fucking matter. When they're pushing for the game, he was looking for Cade Otton. That's sexy. That means,
I like it.
Listen, I understand that Tom Brady is not forever, and who gives a shit? He might be gone next year. But it means that on Cade Otton's side, he is smart enough to understand the assignments and earn the trust of the organization and the possible, I've heard, greatest of all time to play the position at the fucking quarterback. So those are very promising fucking signs, and they're very similar signs to a guy that we picked out, I think, earlier than most on the curve, which was Pat Freiermuth. And I think if we stick with this one, Cade Otton is a guy that the Gold Jacket crew identified, I think, a little bit earlier than most, but could be wrong.
I like it. And listen, Tampa Bay's got to make a push. They're not looking well. They got to get to the playoffs. You know Tom Brady's going to push. He loves his tight ends.
He doesn't make the playoffs after he loses his super sexy wife, who, by the way, the other day I found out is a twin.
I like it, Jim. I like it. Bringing this knowledge every day. Just a random fact every Tuesday for everyone to go home with. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting. Make sure you rate, review, like, subscribe wherever you are listening or watching. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit that thumbs up right below us. Follow Jim at Goldjacket QBs. Follow myself at Connor10 with, that's TEN, not the number, TEN. Find the True North Fantasy Football crew right above Jim's head. And for now, ladies and gentlemen, that's week 9. On to week 10. Next week, we're reacting to week 10. We will be prepping you for week 11. Hopefully, the Fools and the Fool's Gold hits. But for now,
and we'll look back Tuesday on who scores more points, Drake Leonard or Khalil Herbert. Motherfuckers.
See you next Tuesday.
This is a beginning point. This is the beginning of the rest of my life.